Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee. Rob Turley claims to have become a RevOps guy by force, without knowing it. Once he realized what he was doing, he discovered an opportunity to do what very few people were doing. He's not interested in trials and tribulations. He's hell-bent on fixing the problem, period. And now, Rob Turley. Hello, everyone. Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee. Today I'm speaking with Rob Turley, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
Sure. So my name's Rob Turley. I'm the founder and principal consultant over at RevOps Hitman Consulting Company. I'm on the board of 3 other AI companies, not including consulting, and my nickname is the RevOps Hitman. Don't ask how I got it. It was given to me by a magazine. I didn't like it, but you can't be a chooser in that case because it's stuck. So built a company around that. That's why my consulting company is named after that nickname. It was pretty much free marketing, so I enjoyed it. Though at first I resented it, then I accepted it, and now I'm promoting it.
Well, it's pretty assassination, pretty much out there, and one doesn't forget that. You know, when you hear Hitman, you think, is he an assassin?
Well, people generally love it because it's so out of place, the word hitman with business.
Yeah.
It's so out of place that everyone's like, oh, are you the hitman? Like, I get that a lot. So it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And to give people an idea, the RevOps, if you don't know what the term is, since I said I'm the RevOps Hitman, RevOps means revenue operations. It's a word that was concatenated together, right? So revenue operations is the unification of all teams in the sense of things that surround revenue or the customer or all the process and operations between. So it's the unification of sales, marketing, customer success, product and engineering or service delivery, finance, and procurement all in one, so they work together as a data-driven and unified team. So knowing every aspect of the business and how it impacts the customer or the revenue is my job, essentially.
It's sort of like a lot of people in different jobs, you know, like the person in social has no clue what's going on. The person who's doing email marketing doesn't necessarily know what's really converting. You know it all. You're that person in marketing. You're that person that the marketing person wants to talk to. And they usually tell that person in RevOps, don't tell anybody anything in marketing.
That's right. Though it's my job to do so. And it's not about telling so much. It's more about structuring the blueprint behind the business, the strategy, the operations, the structure or the process architecture behind everything. And then the strategies behind go-to-market, advertising, marketing, selling, and how to make data actionable. Because one of the greatest issues with the market right now is data actionability. People don't know how to use data to their advantage, but they have a ton of it, or they have access to a ton of it, and it's not leverageable in a way that you want to. And that ties into efficiency and efficacy or effectiveness. In other terms, if you don't know what efficacy means, pick up a dictionary. I'm kind of an asshole, so you're going to hear that from me. All right. So grammar's great. But the whole point is that being efficient, being effective are 2 different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being efficient means that you could do something very quickly in a repetitive way. Being effective means that the outcome is optimal and the results speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You could be highly efficient without being effective, and you could be effective without being efficient.
Mm-hmm.
People think that they all want efficiency, automate, automate. That's where we're going wrong, almost as an entire marketplace. Cross industry, we're going wrong there. Is that it's great to be efficient, but until we can become effective, efficiency is useless, even if the effectiveness is inefficient. You need to become effective and find a way to optimize that effectiveness and make the effectiveness efficient. Then you've now gotten to the apex of the situation of where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. It's often something that, the advertising, even sales, requires the information. They may not be able to, it's not at their fingertips and they don't necessarily understand it. So they may say, sales may be saying, we're making sales. Why aren't we making any profit? And that's because You could see the back end and say, well, you took 10 trips to make that one customer. That's not profitable.
No, and inefficient. I mean, the what is it right now? The average effectiveness rate of sales teams or sales initiatives in general is about 0.1%. If I was 0.1% effective as an engineer building a bridge or as an accountant doing someone's taxes, I would go straight to prison. Fact. And those are the words of my mentor, Marcus Kauke. He's one of the greatest CROs who's ever lived out in the UK. But that's the thing, is that the only positions that you can get away with being completely ineffective or inefficient, but you're still doing your best. So I'm not speaking against it. There's always a better way to do things, but we're still kind of the infancy stages of figuring it out, is selling and marketing. Selling, you could be 0.1% effective. You're good to go. That's pretty much the industry average.
Mhm.
You could be about 2 to 3% effective with marketing, and you're good to go. That's the industry average. So it's not about that. It's more about high volume based spray and pray, get as much as you can, spend as much as you can to get some sort of return.
Mm-hmm.
With sales, you want a 4x return. With marketing, you also want a 4x return. As long as you're spending 4 times less money on your sales team and sales initiative, sales budget, and 4 times less on your marketing or marketing budget, then you're good to go. But so much more can be done in the meantime, because things need to be done differently in order for things to work that they need to. But everybody needs to wake up to the fact that it's not just a guessing game. It's not just the law of large numbers.
Mm-hmm. Is there some algorithm? Is there some secret sauce where you tell your clients, here's, they give you a situation, you do an audit, and you come back, okay, here's a basic mathematical equation where, this equals marketing, this equals these are the pieces that you've got to work with. How do you go ahead and identify when somebody needs?
Well, you have to look at the data to understand what's wrong. So I do a root causal analysis, right?
Okay.
Often the symptom is not what the actual problem is. It's just a result or an outcome of the problem that's being experienced. So, we have a top of the funnel problem. Well, you might actually have a CS problem. You might actually have an engineering problem that's causing the top of the funnel problem. You don't know that until you look into it. There's no mathematical equation in the sense of a perfect way to find insight in any business. You can analyze their data and understand what's going on, but there's no algorithm to fix it. Generally, what I see is that it's operational and it's people-based. Like selling and marketing, it's an age-old concept that has always been correct. People buy from people that they know, people that they like, and people that they can trust. Period. End of story, until robots start buying shit for us.
Mm-hmm.
If people are buying, whether it's a business or whether it's a consumer, people buy from the people that they know, like, and can trust. What does that mean? It means pitch dumping is unacceptable. Stop spraying and praying the market through a LinkedIn connection request with a pitch of your services or pitching via email. No one gives a shit what you do. People tend to forget what a CEO's job really is. CEO's job is to be the last line of defense. Of course, there's run or lead the mission, the vision, and the purpose of the company. Fine. Everybody knows that part. But they're the last line of defense. Let's say if someone on the ground floor can't figure out a problem. They pass it up to their manager. Manager can't figure it out, it goes up to the director. Director can't figure it out, it goes up to the VP. VP can't figure it out, it goes up to the C-suite, who they directly report to. The C-suite they directly report to, if not the CEO, can't figure it out, it goes to the CEO. If the CEO can't solve the problem, they have to outsource that problem. When people are looking to be sold to, they don't want to be sold to. They want to see if you're qualified to help solve their problem that they're dealing with that they cannot solve internally. In the end, it's rapport, relationship, and internal problem solving. It's not about what features you have, so stop feature dumping. It's not about how good your pitch is, so stop pitch dumping, unless you're selling to impulse buyers like consumers. Businesses who impulse buy are not going to be around for a very long period of time.
Right. They buy and they're gone.
So it's about creating the value in the sense of it, in a consultative way, in the sense of solving the problem that they have that they're currently dealing with. And in a way where you can actually be friendly with them, you can talk to them, you get them to open up. It's more of a psychological game than it is an algorithmic game.
Mm-hmm. How long does it take to, I'm calling it an audit. Is that the proper term?
For what?
Let's say, somebody calls you up and they say, yo, Hitman, we've got a problem. And you're like, okay, tell me your problem, right? What's going on? So how do you attack a new client to determine what's going on? How do you
Starting with an audit. I need to
audit?
understand everything that's under the hood, and I need to interview people that are working in the team and not just the leadership, because the leadership have a very jaded point of view.
Mhm.
Management and directors also have a jaded point of view, and so do the people on the bottom floor. They also have a jaded point of view, but they're on the front line, so they know exactly what's going on from an experiential perspective.
Mhm.
The managers know from a management perspective, the directors know from director perspective, and then the C-suite or the founders know from, you know, all the way at the top, looking over everything else, just a
What they've been
broad,
told,
larger picture perspective.
right?
They all have different stories to tell as to why the issue is happening from different perspectives. It's not the same story, but they all lead to the same problem.
Mhm.
After understanding all of that, looking through their data, analyzing it, and understanding what's going on from a data perspective and operational perspective, after looking over all their processes, their operations, then you can start to understand, okay, where is this coming from? Right?
Right.
If you have diabetes, your fingers and toes can go numb and you may even have to get them cut off,
Mhm.
right? Entirely. You don't think your blood sugar would have anything to do with your outermost limbs, right? But that's what's actually happening. If your bone breaks in your arm and the bone's sticking out and you snap it back in, then you just wrap it up and call it a day, there's a chance that an infection like gangrene can form. Your arm's fine, but what kills you is that the infection spreads to your brain and then you're dead. It's not about what hurts, it's about what's causing the hurt.
Mhm.
And that's the first step in the process. I call it a root causal analysis. It was taking an engineering process that engineers generally use to understand what's going on, and then applying it to operational people and from a revenue engine side of things.
Mhm.
And it's been incredibly successful doing so.
Mm. Do you do a lot of mergers, acquisitions?
I've worked with M&A companies. I've worked with companies that are trying to get acquired, but yeah, it just depends on where I'm needed, what I'm needed for. If I can
Mhm.
help you, I will. If I can't, I damn well know someone who can.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lengthy process. How long? No, how
No.
from get to go for um
Longest an audit ever took was a week because I'm very thorough and I'm very fast. I feel like it's a personal gift. I can just see what everybody's doing and then visualize it in my head of exactly what's going on and connect all the dots. I've never met anybody else who can do it. So I'm guessing it's a gift because I didn't know that you could just, I thought everybody thought that way, but apparently not.
mm, what types of industries? All industries, or do you have specialties?
Pretty agnostic. I work with AI to chiropractors
Wow.
to musicians to CPAs to marketing or lead gen agencies to data acquisition companies to legal firms, you name it. Doesn't matter.
Have you discovered criminal activities? That would be interesting. Like, oh,
I am
everything
actually
would be
not
fine
allowed
except
to
your
disclose this.
yeah.
The shorter answer is yes. Did it have anything to do with me? No. But with a client that dealt with something that was dug up as a result,
Mhm.
absolutely. And it pretty much caused a tidal wave that devastated the entire business.
Yeah.
But I cannot say who or what or when or where or how under
No, no,
legal.
because I'm just wondering if, you go in to audit a company and then what you discover is, some enigmatic thing that's going on until it looks like so
If it
and
was
so is embezzling the
purposeful, I
money.
immediately dropped them as a client. If it was not on purpose and it was something that was discovered where the whole leadership is like, yo, what the hell is happening? Then I'm going to help them.
Right.
But if it was on purpose and they're trying to cut corners or whatever else, I'm like, yeah, you should first tell them you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
Second
I'm not
off,
asking. Yeah, I'm not.
second of all, we cannot work together. Third, you're fired as a client, and I have no connection to you because if you're going to continue this and you're doing it on purpose, I want nothing to do with you.
Right. No, no. I wasn't sort of inferring that they asked you to do criminal activities. What I'm saying is that you go through everything and you find out that the accountant is embezzling funds, or
That
doing
is
something a little
precisely
bizarre.
That is precisely the situation that it came up. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I don't know how long that would take, but once you hit it on the nose, you're like, oh, this is not good.
Yes, that was discovered later on in the process because I don't go through, I'm not a CFO. So I
Right,
don't go through people's financials and their books and everything like that. That's not my job.
right.
But from some ambiguities that I saw within the revenue engine through all the revenue operations, I was like, something here isn't adding up.
Mhm.
And then when I looked a little bit deeper, usually in an area that I don't get involved with, I was like, there is something real shady going on here.
Mm,
Told the CEO. And then from that point, it all surfaced. And then I was like, okay,
I'm
I
out
will
of
help
here.
you out, but I am out.
Yeah. That would make me nervous as well. That would make me nervous. So, how in the devil when did you realize that you had a skill to do this? And this is a very bizarre type of a skill because what you're doing, you would think a 40-year-old man would be able to do, having been in management or, manufacturing or packaging or marketing, having been a director or whatever, having gone through the route. You're doing this in how old are you?
29.
There you go. So, when did you recognize that you had the ability to process something like
I
this?
was kind of forced into the situation, right? I was working at a custom software development company, and then I started out. I specialized and majored in user experience, user interface design in college. Right, went to RIT, and I was going to go down that path. Didn't really make me happy. Was working for a custom software dev company. Was expanding through there. Thought I could do it better, and then said I'm going to start an AI company because we were digging into an AI project. It was acquired, like all that fun stuff, and got into that. And after developing an AI that was far too advanced for the time, far too advanced, one of the top AI leaders out there, which I'm not going to name names, said, "We're going to have AI algorithms that could build other AIs, or we're going to have AIs that can look at data and build their own predictive models or algorithms on its own by deciding what's best to do with the data in unstructured, unsupervised machine learning." That happened, what, 9 to 11 months ago? They talked about that being possible soon. Well, my team and I built that 7 years ago. Okay. And with that, analyzing business data, doing predictive analytics on people data, when we were working with companies, very rarely were they AI ready. Their business did not support it. Their data did not support it. Their data tracking or collection processes did not support it. Their operations did not support it. So I had to dig into every single nook and cranny and looking at it under a microscope, even from a data perspective, to understand what was going on, to restructure and reformat the company to be uh, able to have a proper data transformation, to be able to support data actionability protocols, and to be able to support AI processing. It was pretty much gutting out a company and rebuilding it from the inside out,
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over again for them to even buy the damn product. So, working with dozens of industries doing just that, that's kind of how RevOps was born. I'm one of the original modern day RevOps practitioners out there. There's not that many of us. A lot of people claim it. They're just glorified sales ops people, glorified market ops people, like a sales
Mm-hmm.
ops guy who built out a CRM for one of the company that he worked for or she worked for at some point in time. And then it's like, oh, I think I'm pretty good at this. I'm a RevOps expert, so I can bill 2 times more now. It's most RevOps people don't even know what RevOps, the definition of RevOps really is, which I
Mm-hmm.
defined really in the beginning without saying I
Mm-hmm.
was defining, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's de-siloing of a company. It's the unification of everything around revenue and client process to ensure that everyone's working together as a team. So no more silos. But yeah, the point is that I
Yeah.
got into this position by force without knowing it. And then upon realizing what was going on, it was an opportunity. And there were very few people out there like me. And we're the ones driving the future of modern business without sticking to traditional practices, which are proven to continue to get worse and worse and worse with effectiveness. They're efficient, but they're not effective, which is why it's so damn hard to make a sale today.
Mm. It's I'm trying to think in my mind how artificial intelligence can run not generic companies, but any company, like out of the
You mean
box, a company.
commoditized? Do you mean commoditized companies instead of generic? Is that what you were referring to?
Um, well, sort of what I'm basically saying is how we can understand how AI a- can.
Take your time.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
good.
I'm trying to how AI can effectively predict or measure any part of business. So I work with AI and I do specific things with it. And marketing works with AI and it can predict, um, you know, through, if they like this, they might like that type of things, and it can do that on the fly. But how does AI generally, or how will AI, I don't even know why I'm asking this, but I'm interested to know how would AI impact or why would a company be interested in AI to run some of their operations other than
Short
marketing?
answer. Short answer that's indirect like a politician, right? If you're not going to be around much longer. If you don't, you're going to have a lot of trouble keeping your market share. If you do, it's going to be beneficial. If you do it the wrong way, it's going to work against you. If you do it the right way and you innovate with it, then it's going to be the best thing that's ever happened. The real answer, if I had a little bit more detail, is that AI is going to be an important part of our lives. This next age, we're in the information age, right? It's going to be the artificial intelligence age. Literally, that is what it's going to be called. It's coming and it's going to happen. And if you do not accept it, adopt it, and work with it, you're going to fall behind everybody else and you're going to crash and burn. Maybe not all companies that say no thanks. If they're like a mom and pop shop, maybe they can get away with it, right? Because they're local. I'm talking about like B2B businesses, or I'm talking about enterprises. I'm talking about mid-market companies, people who are trying to grow.
Enterprise.
It's going to set you far behind.
Yeah.
And AI, when used with a company, yes, you can predict easily. You can also automate easily, but it's meant for. I'm pro automation, but I'm also against automation. In sales and marketing, automation sucks unless you're trying to make the initial connection request or the initial touch, right? Because people buy from people again. So messaging can't be replaced by a robot, but robotic process automation, being able to have the back end systems and processes monitored and run by an AI technology to optimize things, so you don't need to have a herd of 25 people just doing menial tasks, right, and doing simple calculations, number crunching. Humans were not built to sit behind a spreadsheet. They were built to create, they were built to innovate, they were built to have ideas, to think for themselves analytically. We are, as a species, horrible at calculation compared to computers. Horrible, abhorrent. So let the computers do the calculations, the menial tasks, the repetitive crap that's easily scalable in repetition, and then the humans do the more creative side of things. Yes, robotics, yes, AI will innovate over time to become better at that stuff, but in the end, we're the ones to drive it. Technology is not built to replace humans unless it was just a basic laborial task or a menial task that's useless that anybody and their mother can do without a brain.
Right.
Technology was not built to replace people unless it's in that case scenario. It was made to help people or assist. Mm-hmm. You use technology to push yourself further. If someone is working a job that has no inherent value, like a cashier or whoever else, and no hate to them at all, and that personal experience is also good. It's like a preference thing. If it's something that's not a specialized form of work or task, you're going to be replaced by a robot.
Well,
I think there's a website called Will Robots Take My Job.com, and then it'll show you the probability that it's going to take you to the percentage of market share.
The automated cashiers at all the stores are already doing that, and people hate them. But and also,
it's going to happen because it's better for the bottom line.
It's
right?
better for the bottom line.
But at the same time, People need to re-specialize. Maybe truck drivers will be gone because of self-driving cars. That's okay. You are not just a truck driver until the day you die. You could do something else more important. We've solved that with technology, so move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. But a lot of people cannot latch on to that idea. And I bet you a lot of people are going to be fucking pissed at me by the end of this podcast because of what I'm saying. And that's okay because
actually, it is a realistic way to look at technology.
I'm a realist.
It's, it frees us up so that we can continue to create. But we have to be, we have to understand that and not fight it. So,
and it's not about liking it or loving it or not liking it or hating it. It's not about supporting it or not supporting it. It's gonna happen whether you like it or not. I don't care. They don't care. No one cares whether you like it or not.
Well, will it replace the food industry, the farming industry?
Maybe that's going to be, I think, quite a few years out, but the legal industry is going to die. Law is just language-based syntax logic. That's the entirety of it.
Well,
and AI can analyze a contract better than any attorney. And AI can write a contract better than any attorney, I promise you.
Yeah.
Because all it is looking for loopholes and all of that, and it can read all the syntax, look at the contextual, and be able to analyze it better than any human being can. So I think attorneys are going to be at risk, unless it's an attorney that's going to be fighting in court where you're trying to win over the audience, essentially.
But a lot of the groundwork that attorneys had to do with going and getting the books and finding the precedent and saying, well, in Marsh versus Lark, 1922, this case, which
you could just recall all that data, just train the model with every single case that's ever happened in history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as attorneys seem irreplaceable with how high paid they are, I mean, would you rather analyze a contract to tell you everything that's wrong with it in about 5 seconds for about $5, or would you rather pay $500 and wait for a 1 week turnaround unless you haven't been house or under a very large retainer? I mean, really, it's just, and AI would do a better job.
AI would do a better job. It's talk about efficiency versus and efficacy.
It's effectiveness and efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Lawyers are effective, but they're not efficient, as much as they like to think so. But you can only read a book, you can only read a document, you can only read anything.
That's why they charge you an arm and a leg, because of all the work that they do.
It's incredibly specialized, but it's all just logic-based. Machine learning AI is good at logic. It's not good at creativity. If it's logic-based like law is, that's an easy win for the machines.
However,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It will logically come back and say, logically come back and say, this divorce settlement, XYZ for you, XYZ for you, the end. But would it be able to say what to do about somebody that murdered somebody else?
So that
it would know that somebody murdered somebody else, but would it be able to say?
Well, it's looking at it from a logical perspective, is that if this person was defending themselves, therefore they are, they're off the hook after it looks at all the evidence, it looks at everything that's collected, all the data that's there. Though people may think or believe, I don't think they were defending themselves. I feel like it was a crime of passion. In the end, the jury has the last call. So it's not, that's why I was saying criminal defense, like defense attorneys, they're still going to be in business.
Right.
Prosecuting attorneys still in business because you have to win over the audience. It's not about how logical. It's all emotional and storytelling based. Unless we say no more jury, it's based on the facts, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Which is inhuman. It's inhumane.
Right.
But at the same time, it's more correct. So you have that battle of what's right and what's wrong. Right and wrong is perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't think this conversation would go this way, by
I
the way.
know, I didn't either. So back to, you've got a lot of businesses that you're working for, and you don't seem to have a lot of competition.
I do, but they can't do what I do.
Right.
I've worked with a lot of people who have worked with a RevOps consultant before,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't trust me to begin with. So I said, okay, we'll work together for a month. If you don't like it, just leave. Don't pay me.
Mm-hmm.
Work with them, then they go, Holy shit, I've gotten more done with you in 1 month than I've gotten done with 6 months with another consultant. Like, because you're dealing with the real deal here. We're doing what needs to be done.
Mhm.
I'm not just going to sit there and give you blind advice and listen to your trials and tribulations. We're going to fix the problem, period. And you need to know how to fix that problem, which a lot of them don't. It's just a guess and check method, like most people.
Mhm.
But I would say it kind of sucks though at the same time, because most people, whether it's a RevOps consultant, sales ops consultant, whether it's a business management consultant, it doesn't matter. Most of them are. I mean, I hate to say this, but they're scam artists. They don't know what they're doing. It's a waste of time. They don't know what they're talking about, and it's total bullshit. So I feel like more people have been burned than they've been helped, and it's bad for business for me. It's bad for business for other people like me who are true to their word and can actually do it, because people are afraid of working with them. It's even worse in the marketing agency market. It's even worse than that in the ad agency market. It's even worse than that, and that's pretty much bottom of the barrel with the lead gen market. It's gotten such a bad taste in people's mouths because they get all these promises and there's no performance, and all they care about is churn and burn. They couldn't give a shit. Just keep on bringing on clients. If we lose them, forget about it. Move on. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Mm. What are some I don't know if this even makes sense. What are some common um things that come up in like marketing firms, if you've done some marketing, investigation, some things that are pretty common where they're missing efficiency or your
Okay, yeah. So I'll give you a really good example of
okay.
this. So I've worked with several marketing agencies. Um, the main problem with marketing agencies, and I mean industry wide, is what's the average client churn rate? 6 months.
Yeah.
They bring in a client, they start campaigning, they don't see a positive ROI after 6 months, and then they drop them. Then they hire a new marketing agency. They go, oh, the last marketing agency already did all the work. This is great. They start, and then they start seeing an ROI.
Mm-hmm.
Time to value is too long. Too long. The client gets impatient. They don't want to work with you. They work with the next company after you fail, or fail, quote unquote. It's not like actually failing. It just takes time. And they just pick up where you left off, and then they win. That might be a long-term client, might not, depends on their skill level. But what you see is a high churn rate. It's churn and burn, and it's not by choice. They're trying to actually make a difference. The problem is they listen to the client. Okay, who do you target? Oh, we like sales directors and software companies in the US between 200 to 5,000 in size. That is not a target. It's not. How come, if that's your target, how come only 1% of those identical types of people in your CRM have ever been sold and the rest of them said no, they're closed lost deals? That's not a target. What is your actual target? It has to go deeper. So data actionability is part of it, but also having that visibility is that it's the client doesn't know who the hell they want to sell to. They don't know who their target is. It's an assumed target, and it's not deep enough. As much as they think they know their client, they really don't. And if you tell them that, they're going to get real freaking mad at you. Listen to them.
Well, they think
Listen
they
to who they
know.
want to target. But it's about looking at their actual client base. Who have you done business with, and who's stuck around? Analyze that. Learn everything about those people. Do they have a dog? Do they like spending time with their wife? Are they family oriented? What do they value? What are their interests? What do they like? Who are they? What skills do they have? So on and so forth. And then you could model that out and segment it instead of doing generalized, just pump and dump outreach. Segment it out, create something that is relevant in a scalable way. Personalization at scale is not possible. Relevance at scale is, and it can be scaled in smaller pocket groups of people that you're trying to reach out to. Once you understand who your target is, then the messaging matters. Most people dump millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars into the messaging to try to perfect it to get a better reply rate. But if no one's buying from that reply rate, hence the 0.1 efficiency rate or effectiveness rate in sales, is that yes, you're getting high engagement. No, you're not getting any sales. In the end, a marketing professional's job is to get a return on investment and close deals, period. That is their job. The vanity metrics, how much engagement, how many replies, how many opens, who gives a flying fuck about that if it's not generating revenue?
It's like a popularity contest. Oh, I'm most popular. That doesn't mean anything. Did anybody buy from you?
I know I'm getting longhand. Is that they need to become more data-driven to understand the customer, build out that model, show the customer this is what we need to be targeting, segment it out, and then their success rate of their marketing campaigns are going to be far more successful. And instead of 6 months to seeing a result, maybe it's 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. Chop it in half, chop it into a quarter, chop it into a sixth of the amount of time to value to start seeing a return. Their churn rate would decrease exponentially, which is why I deal a lot in data actionability and data performance.
Right. It sounds to me like, first of all, what you said in the beginning, a lot of companies will hire any kind of a resource to assist in marketing or sales or data or whatever. And first of all, the resource will sell them bullshit. Oh, well, we could do this. We could, 4 times your income, whatever. And it's nonsense.
Yes, man, with false promises.
It's nonsense. And even if they can do that, now they've set up these expectations that cannot be matched, because in most cases, 6 months are planting the seeds of what's going to happen. And then you start, if it's good, then you start seeing an exponential. So the 7th month hits and you're like, oh, and then double, triple, if it's good, if you've got solid instruction, if you've got a plan that can be pivoted, you've got a strategy that has A, B, C, and D
it's
plan.
flexible.
Yeah.
Right.
All of these things. If it's good, then nothing can happen in 6 months. I mean, you can get a peak, you can get a blast out there, and somebody's going to go and buy all your stuff, but you don't want one-timers. You're building loyalty. As you said, people buy because they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And then it's word of mouth. And, maybe they'll buy one and they'll say, I'll never buy from them again. So what good have you done? So
and what do you think they're going to say to their friends? Oh, I bought from them. I'm never going to buy again. To their entire network. They'll never tell you they did that,
right.
But they're going to do it.
Right. Exactly. So, so the company that does outsource and does go to somebody to help them out, they fire them within 6 months. The next group that comes in, they pick up where the other one left off. And now in a month or two, the results are coming in, and they're like, this group suddenly looks like they're geniuses. They stay with them for 6 months and they level out.
Once it plateaus, they say, well, you guys are no good anymore. We're going to bring on the next team, then the next team, then the next team, then the next team. And it's recyclable.
Right. And in the meantime, many cases when I've worked with companies, and I'll ask a company to start off with, what is your mission? And they'll tell me, and then it will include the mission. The mission will include a demographic, and I'll start with the concept that the customer knows my client knows their customer. And then within maybe 3 or 4 months, I might be seeing some trends that don't agree with who they think their customer is. So I'll say something along the lines of, that's not your customer. Oh, yes, it is. That's what we want to sell to.
It's who they, keyword, want. I don't care if you want to sell to the Queen of England. You're not gonna if your product's not a fit for that person.
And not only that,
people think if we build it, they will come. If we target them, they will buy. The people who buy from you, the way that you innovate your product or service, you have to listen to the market. I call it part of founder's disease, is what I've made the term, is that how you talk about it, who you think's going to buy it, is not up to you.
Yeah, it just happens. Like Victoria's Secret. Okay, women do buy from Victoria's Secret, but men do too. And men buy a lot. They're not buying for themselves. I'm not talking about that. Men buy for their women.
For the significant other because they want to see them wear something.
Right. They're buying. And in many cases,
it's like the Mustang, the Ford Mustang. It was a woman's car. They built it for women to purchase it, which back in the day it worked, but then it quickly converted to a man's car.
Exactly.
But they built the car for women. They designed the brand and the name for women. But then it became a man's car. They had no control over that. The market dictated it, and they had no choice but to do so.
Exactly. But if you're smart, and if you're looking at your data, and if Rob works for you, if you're looking at your data, you could see where that data segment shifts, and then you change your marketing. And no, you don't change your product. Your product,
Unless there is no market for your product, like
well,
no one,
right?
there's
You
no
know, if it's
fit.
not selling to anybody, you've got a problem. But you know, if you realize you're selling to women, oh, this is great. We're selling to women. The data's coming back. It's women. And then somewhere down the line, wait a minute, this data looks a little different. And then you've got to think to yourself, okay, we've got two different markets. Let's experiment with the men.
Yeah, exactly. And if the men are not buying, then it's like, okay, what do we have to do to get them to buy, or is it even a fit for them to buy?
Exactly.
I mean, look at Schick. Schick split, the razor brand. They split into two different brand approaches, two different two different everything approaches,
Right.
because Schick men's and Schick's women, they had a hard time ever getting women. But then they figured it out, is that they looked at the data, they understood the marketplace, they did the research, they changed their marketing and branding for women, and now Schick men and Schick women almost sell equally.
Right. Well, you know, most probably the wives were using the husband's blades at some point in time. And it
That's
started
right.
to shift. And that's really the point. In many cases, where a company, the mission is we're going to sell. Here's what we're solving. Here's the problem. We're solving it. Here's the product, and they put it out, and it works, and it solves the problem. But they may also be solving another problem they're not aware of, and that might be
Happens
a
all the
complete.
time in pharmaceutical. Look at like Rogaine. It's to help men grow their hair back. It was originally a blood pressure medication to lower blood pressure, but then people started growing hair. Turns out it was a shit blood pressure medication, but it was a fantastic hair growth medication.
Yeah, and you've got to be ready to pivot.
That's right.
So
I mean, look at sticky notes. The glue in the back of sticky notes.
Yeah.
Or Post-its.
Right.
It was a scientist trying to make the world's most powerful or strongest adhesive glue.
Right.
He somehow created the least strongest glue out there that left no residue. And he was going into the board meeting to present to the investors, and he was panicking. He just slathered some of it on a piece of paper and then stuck it on the wall and said, "Post it."
Really?
And they just went nuts and bought into it, even though they invested millions into a failed project, and then boom, it became a multi-billion-dollar company.
Well, you know, that is really the point.
Isn't that wild?
Yes,
it was a cover-up of a failure. Is how they accidental.
It's also along the lines of whiteout. You know, a woman created it, knowing what nail polish could do.
Right.
There's a lot of that, and that's. I mean, are those? And have you had any situations like that where you've recognized a new market or you've seen a problem and the company just like pivots completely? Like any rebirth conversation, any rebirth types of situations that you can share? Anything like that?
I mean, I've experienced it personally. I mean, I had an AI company. We were trying to build something to create an AI to create other AIs, to build data sets for other AIs to be trained automatically by an AI. There was no market for it. This was 7 years ago. Nobody knew what the hell any of it was. And then we asked the market, okay, what do you need help with? Well, it's hard to market and sell. We don't know who to sell to or whatever else. Well, what if we were able to predict who you could build a business relationship with before you reach out to them? Boom, pivot. We built an engineering solution for data scientists, and it converted to a marketing and sales solution.
There's I would say there's a lot of that out there. It's not really, your business is not always a failure if it misses the mission statement.
If you're willing to change it.
Well, the thing is, you need to recognize it and then be able to get your ego, I guess, out of the way to say, okay, we've got a whole different marketplace, but this can work.
Right.
But this can
Exactly. But it's the willingness to change.
Right.
And that's part of what I call founder's disease. The product is this, and I imagine it this way, and this is what I dream for it to be, and this is how we need to innovate it. If the market doesn't want it, you're going to fail as a business, I guarantee you.
Yeah. And that's not to say that in 25 years there won't be a need for it, but it's just right now.
Boom,
there's
you'll
no
be
need.
the first to market. But
right.
Congratulations, you'll be the first to market in 20 years.
Right. Yeah. And also, it may not be in your country, but it may be in another country. I mean, you've really got to be a visionary to be able to see these things. And that's the creative nature of business. That is the creative nature of business.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's an analytical creative, which is a rare, rare form of creativity.
yeah.
I'm an analytical creative. It's a weird time.
Yeah.
It's a very weird time. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on today, Joy.
You want to leave the audience with a tip? Maybe some
A tip:
actionable tip?
your data can tell you the story of your past and your present, and if interpreted properly, it can predict your future. Not only that, take a good look at who you sell to and really understand who they are. Yes, you may have spoken to them. Yes, you may speak to them every single day as a client. You may know who they are. You may know who you sell to, but you don't really know until you know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let those fallacies or those assumptions take advantage of you, because there's often a lot more opportunity out there, or even adjacent markets that you can attack that are very similar by understanding who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Also, leverage technology. Use it to the maximum potential. Make sure you're using the right technology for your business as well. It's not just get a CRM, it's get the CRM that's right for you.
Mm.
I'm not for or against any CRM. It's just that if it's not a fit for your business, it's not a fit for your business, but it must integrate with all the ancillary technology so you have a unified point of truth. You don't want a bunch of just disassembled technologies all slapped together with tape and band-aids. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So take control of your business by taking control of the right technology, adopting the right technology, using the right data, and really having intelligence into your marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Where can people find you on the web?
Oh, they can find me on LinkedIn. So it's linkedin.com/the-RevOps-Hitman, or you can hit me up via email at rob@revopshitmanconsulting.co. Now I'm not going to disclose my phone number. I did that once in a podcast and it was just a nightmare.
No.
So,
We don't need
yep.
to do that. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that might be funny for people listening too, because it was actually laughable.
I appreciate you being on the call.
Oh yeah, of course. I appreciate you having me, Joy. It was an absolute pleasure.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too.